And there it is right there, Agbado Ewa. So that's rice and beans, of course, Agbado Ewa. So Agbado Ewa, good day to you, good to be in your company and all that. So good day to you. Just a short little meet. We're going to be doing this every so often now, at least a minimum of 2 a week, maybe more. So we're going to be having a mid-afternoon session, no longer than 2 hours, just to react to a particular. It's going to be a single narrative session. So we're going to be doing this a little bit more often. And it's going to be a single narrative session, as I said, to respond specifically to a particular storyline within the Nigerian paradigm. So we're going to be doing this a bit more often, maybe at least 2 a day, maybe more, and not 2 a day, maybe at least 2 a week, maybe more. But certainly we used to do this back in the day. Back in the day, the sequence of our sessions was like about an hour and a half, like a midday sort of session, 3-4 hours in the evening, and that used to be the complement. So we're reverting back to the old school sort of setup. But good day to you, good to be your company, and how are you? So good day to you, good to be your company, and how are you? The protocol remains the same, even for the midday sessions. Click on the like button. Just as soon as you hear me invite you to do so. Click on the like button. Not already subscribed, please correct that. If you want to come and join me on the screen, there's a hyperlink that says StreamYard that invites you in. Share the links as widely as you can, super chat towards the stream. So those 5 things, I call them out every single time. So maybe at some point it will activate for people to start to action on them. So the first item, of course, is to click on the like button. The second item is to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. The third call to action is to share the links as widely as you can. The fourth call to action is to super chat towards the stream. And then the fifth call to action is to click on the hyperlink that says StreamYard. So that one is at your discretion. Also, it's at your discretion. It is at your discretion if you want to come on the screen or not. But the first 4, we're really pushing you hard towards it. So click on like, click on subscribe, share the links as widely as you can, super chat towards the stream. So feel some sort of pressure to do those. And at your leisure, if you want to come and have a conversation, click on the hyperlink that says StreamYard. So click on the hyperlink that says StreamYard. And the storyline, the single story we're going to be looking at today is the relationship erstwhile between these 2 characters on your screen. To your left, Peter Obi. To your right, Valentine Ozigbo. So you can see them in the fullness of they could barely contain themselves in the excitement of being in each other's company. And those are genuine smiles, by the way, because the eyes betray everything. Peter Obi, of course, is wearing glasses, but if you look into Valentine Ozigbo's eyes, you can see that the joy of the occasion is manifest truly just by the excitement that his eyes convey. So this is a happy picture of 2 brothers looking to take on the world. So this is where the storyline begins, these two elements. And then, of course, very quickly, of course, the expediency of politics now leads us to this clip that we're about to react to now. So Valentine Ozigbo, of course, no news to anyone. He has left the Labour Party. A moment of pause and then leaps into the APC. So we saw the picture of our happy, jolly fellows with him and Peter Obi. And now, conversely, the direct antithesis of what Peter Obi is and what it stands for is where Valentine Ozigbo has moved to now. So so what has propelled all that? What's led him then to make that 180? People call it a 360 turn, but if you go 360, you go back to where you were, but it's a 180 turn. So what has propelled then Valentine Ozigbo to make that 180 turn to completely jettison Obi and what he stands for, to go then to the APC and what Tinubu stands for. So he gets the chance to explain. So let's watch this.
Race to the governorship election in Anambra State in November than the recent defection of Peter Obi's right-hand man and the poster boy of his obedient movement, Valentine Ozigbo, from the Labour Party to the APC. It's a move that sent shockwaves across the country and ignited a torrent of anger and dismay among some, a measure of support amongst others, and hope in the APC that this could signal the rise of the party in the state. But still others have warned that it could all backfire against Mr. Ozigbo, given how besmirched the APC's image is, not just in Anambra State, but across many parts of the Southeast. The surprise, they say, isn't so much that he left the Labour Party, given how tessellated the party is at the moment. But for many, the question is, why on earth would he choose to go to the APC of all parties? And is it possible for him to walk that line without falling into a political...
And by the way, this Charles, the anchor person for this particular program, not me anchoring this stream, but the clip that we're looking at, he barely disguises his partisanship, which is a very unprofessional stance to have. Is unabashedly obedient, and it propels his narrative, his presentation towards that manner. So his partisanship is not at all disguised, and it's all based around ethnicity. So again, ethnic jingoism from the Southeast with another senior voice from that space. So it's somewhat behind enemy lines. Anytime you listen to, especially this Charles Anyagoli, who is always in his own contribution trying to champion Obi from the leverage point that he has. So anytime you listen to this guy, is somewhat of a behind enemy lines sort of engagement.
Ditch. Well, to get his personal take on all those talking points swirling around him, I'm suitably delighted to say that Valentine Ozigbo joins me now in the studio. How nice to see you again.
Pleasure, Charles.
And I was going to say, I noticed that the cap has changed. It now says, not obedient movement, but valiant movement. I like the play of words, actually. Yes. It's very, very original.
Precisely.
But a lot of our audience are still not believing their ears when they hear that you, of all people, have defected from the Labour Party and by extension from the obedient movement to the APC. What are the compounding issues that led you to make this unexpected detour to, of all parties, the APC?
I like your choice of word, compounding issues, because there actually is not as simplistic as I see the reactions on the social media. Charles, let me say thank you for having me. This is
We're delighted to have you.
First major outing since all of this.
Indeed, and we were very honored that you chose to speak to us before anyone else.
Thank you. And
of course, they would choose to speak to Arise TV. Arise TV, to all intents and purposes, is the voice of the Southeast to the Nigerian space. So, of course, it's a peculiarly Southeastern narrative. Valentine Ozigbo, of course, I think from Anambra State, Peter Obi, Anambra, both of Igbo stock. The moderator, Charles Anyagoli, he's from the Southeast as well. So it's a Southeastern narrative. So, of course, it's going to go to a Southeastern platform. which is essentially what Arise TV is, in order then to speak to the narrative that particularly applies to the Southeast, his relationship with Peter Obi.
I have to first appreciate, honestly, God Almighty for where I am today and what is going on. And to appreciate the teaming supporters out there, those who are excited about this move, those who are not so excited, and those who are ignorant about the move. And what I promise is engagement. Over time, I believe a lot of people will understand the strategic nature of this move. Where do I start from? There are always push and pull factors when a decision of this nature would occur. There are things that are happening in your current situation you're not proud of, that you're not excited about, that will lead you to, explore. Go beyond where you are and look for what you can consider a better alternative.
Sorry, let me refresh this thing to see if we can get rid of the glitch. But as I'm refreshing it, what I'm actually looking forward to is I want to hear from Valentine Ozigbo why he has made
race to the governorship election.
Whilst I'm refreshing it, I want to hear from Valentine Ozigbo to tell us exactly why he has made that move, because Tinubu is diametrically opposed to how Peter Obi is positioned politically. So it's a bit like saying you only like to wear black shirts. You said that for the last 10, 15 years of your life, that you only like to wear black shirts. And then all of a sudden, you wake up one morning, you throw all of your black shirts into the garbage and go and get a whole wardrobe full of white shirts and say, I only like to wear white shirts. So it's that's how stark, that's how marked the chasm is between Obi and Tinubu. So what is the ideological eureka moment that this guy had that then made him jettison Obi to go in that direction? Or is it that he doesn't really stand for anything ideologically and is just a political careerist who is just looking for where his feathers are being nested the most? So we want to hear all that from Valentine.
First of all, compounding issues, because there actually is not as on what is going on. And to appreciate the teaming supporters out there, those who are excited about this move, those who are not so excited, and those who are ignorant about the move. And what I promise is engagement. Over time, I believe a lot of people will understand the strategic nature of this move. Where do I start from? There are always push and pull factors when a decision of this nature would occur. There are things that are happening in your current situation you're not proud of, that you're not excited about, that will lead you to, explore. Go beyond where you are and look for what you can consider a better alternative. And then when you look out there, there are also things that you're going to see that are pull factors that will draw you to where you're headed to, and that ultimately land you to a decision point. I am at peace with the decision I've taken because of a number of these compounding issues. And let's start with the push factors. I see a Labour Party where I'm not so proud of the future. I started asking myself where we headed to. On one hand, there are litigation issues around the leadership, chairmanship. Up to today, there's a case in the Supreme Court, and there are a multiplicity of other cases that we don't even know about. And either Abure wins or loses, there are implications that I'm not totally proud of. Beyond, and when I actually think about what even originated this whole recent issues, beyond the other issues about Apapa, Arabambi, and co, on the side of the Abure, was the national convention that took place in Anambra State. I consider that process very flawed. Typically, you start the national convention from the ward level, then local government, then state, then national. But what's done upside down, and there are implications. A lot of the obedience wanted to get into the party through the right process. And I'm not saying we must change the leadership. But let the leadership go through the right process. I've always emphasized on right process. And so if you are introducing wrong process, then I am not going to be party to keeping, because when people use the word loyalty, they miss the point. Loyalty is not usually to individuals. Loyalty is to values, certain things that you hold dear. Correct. So if the individual exhibits certain value at variance with what I hold dear, and I continue to follow, I may leave the individual, but I'm still consistent with those values. So in the case of Labour Party, beyond the National Convention, which was flawed, is also another event that took place in Anambra State Congress, where they practically decimated the party. And I raised alarm.
Let's just pause it there for one moment, because he said something there that I'm just not happy to let slide. He said that at the core of his being is a principle, and that the party might be at variance. It might be at variance with the party, but it's not at variance with this principle. That is his political philosophy, his outlook on life, his worldview. So those are his principles. So he said that he might be at variance with the party, but he's not at variance, but he remains consistent in his principles, in his worldview, and in his political philosophy. That's what our Valentine Ozigbo just said. So those principles, those worldviews, those are political ideologies that propels him into politics. He found a home for them in PDP. So now not in PDP or in Labour Party, he found a home for them in Labour Party. So he found a home for his political principles in Labour Party, but the Labour Party now is now at variance with his worldview, at variance to the point that he now feels that the chasm between his worldview and the Labour Party is too wide for him to continue to be a member of that party. So he makes the decision then to hold on to his principles and then take those principles out of the Labour Party, because, of course, they are now at variance in terms of the trajectory of the party and his own political ideology. Those are now at variance. So that is the cord that is the slice, the scissors cord that severs that relationship. So he leaves that party, still holding on to his worldview, his political principles, his ideological thrust, and all of that. But then he takes all that then into the APC. You see? Do you see? But then the APC, from all of the trajectories from 2023 up to this present moment, we've always been told that the APC is diametrically at variance with how the Labour Party stands, ideologically, philosophically, globally, ethnically, in principle and in practice, in all of the matrices that politics is used to measure, the APC is the diametric opposite of what the Labour Party stands for. So this guy now that found home for his principles in Labour Party because he could see synergy there, now then leaves that party because of variance in the trajectory of that party, but then he then moves those principles to a space that he, being one of the leading voices of our Labour Party all the way through, had always told us that is in variance with what he stands for. Do you understand? The very height, the epitome of hypocrisy. But then that is to be expected.
Complaint to Abure himself, to our national leader, Peter Obi, to the governor of Abia State, and whoever that cared to listen. We are destroying Labour Party in Anambra State. When you look at these issues, then consider the huge defections, people losing faith in Labour Party, moving away to other parties. And now take the record of all the elections we've lost. Almost all the states, not just that we lost, abysmal loss, total failure. So I said to myself, if really Anambra is something I'm passionate about, if I want to rescue my people, under what platform? So I should just name of loyalty and then people come to suffer? No. The definition of loyalty I've spoken about. So there was a real consciousness around this conversation. And I engaged with a lot of people, a lot of institutions. Here is the situation with Labour Party. What do we do next?
And did you engage with Peter Obi?
Oh, many times, certainly.
What was his reaction? How did he take the fact that his most trusted, one of his most trusted
I'll come to that.
I
come to that.
Right.
I come to that. The point here, because there's need for a lot of people who are on the social media to understand really the issues, is this not just emotion? There's a bit of emotion, but we've also got to bring logic and strategy and reasonableness into the conversation. So I ask a lot of people, and I also ask somebody like you, if you wanted Valentine Ozigbo to be the governor of Anambra State, and it's no longer going to be Labour Party, where else? Give me an answer. I've asked everybody who cared to listen, give me an answer. I'm going to fight an incumbent.
All right. So that's another seminal momentum point right there. If you want Valentine Ozigbo to be the governor of Anambra State and is no longer under the Labour Party, where else? So it's not as though he especially believes in the ideology or the principles or anything that the APC stands for. He's not said that. He's entirely talking about his own personal ambitions. So what best serves Valentine Ozigbo to become the governor of Anambra State? The Labour Party doesn't offer that opportunity. So what now best serves? And what he feels best serves is the APC, the power of incumbency, the popularity of the party, the Tinubu factor, all of those things, plus he being a known figure in that space, that gives him a bigger punch into that space than either the Labour Party, certainly the PDP, and that is really what propels the decision. He has said this so in his own words. If you want Valentine Ozigbo to be the governor of Anambra State, and it's not under Labour Party, then where else? That's what he said. So he's not saying that the ideological chasm between me and Labour Party is so wide, and the ideological alignment between I and the APC is so synchronized. It's not saying any of that. It's entirely talking about what best serves his own personal ambition. I'll take it back 1 minute so you can hear it again. That's exactly what he just said.
Logic. and strategy and reasonableness into conversation. So I ask a lot of people, and I also ask somebody like you, if you wanted Valentine Ozigbo to be the governor of Anambra State and is no longer going to be the Labour Party, where else? Give me an answer. I've asked everybody who cared to listen, give me an answer. I'm going to fight an incumbent who we believe is not doing well. And truly, I can talk about Soludo forever because it's actually disappointing the Anambra. So if we wanted to change Soludo, which other party, if it's not Labour Party? And I'm challenging everybody listening to me today. Which other party? Is it PDP? And they said, no, it's not PDP. They're even dragging who is the national secretary. All of those issues, if you come to Anambra State, they also fill with other litigation issues. So PDP wasn't going to be an option. So is it that we used APC or some other smaller party, which, yeah, it's easier to even win primary in those other parties and move on. However, to be able to contend with an incumbent governor, you needed to also be very strategic. Now, these are reasons thinking outside of the box, moving away from Labour Party arose. Now, what pulled me into APC? Beyond being a large party with a lot of structure and following, I have never been.
All right. So it needn't go on beyond that point. What pulled me into? So it's told us what put him out of It's told us what put him out of the Labour Party, but what pulls him into the APC? A large party with huge structures and a large following. It tells us that. So those are the first things that he goes to. And then he tries to then excuse it just to satiate the sense of abandonment of the obedient people. But the core reasons why he left the Labour Party to go to the APC are the first set of words that he says next.
Now, these are reasons thinking outside of the box, moving away from Labour Party arose. Now, what pulled me into APC? Beyond being a large party with a lot of structure and following, I have never been in doubt that I will be able to defeat Soludo, even if I take any party, because of the rising momentum that we've garnered, the grassroots base that we have. And like I said to you, a lot of people are not quite comfortable with this nature and style of governance. And so, but there's also need to have a structure that can enable you to protect the win when it does happen. Because here we are, again, an incumbent. If it was a neutral ground, it's okay. If you try to run under a smaller party, you're going to spend a lot of resources, which you may not even have, and the probability of success will be very low.
Right. I want you to continue to pay attention. Well, I've not yet once in the course of this conversation has he said that he has any ideological alignment with the APC. All he has talked about is how the APC serves him to advance his own personal ambitions. So he has not said, oh, I believe in their philosophy, I believe in this new hope agenda, or whatever it is that Tinubu says is running. It's not spoken about Tinubu. It's not spoken about the direction of the country, the governance style, the merit or lack thereof. It's not spoken about all of that. It's just telling you that the APC is the strongest vehicle that propels its own personal ambition. So it's entirely about self-interest.
And so APC needed also somebody like me who would not only bring the base of support and win on ground. There's also something I found fascinating, which is if we have APC and the leadership at the national level, federal level, and I care about the Kanambra Travel mantra. I have a lot of ideas what I want to really unfold. I want to build a better synergy. I want to be able to connect to the grid. I want to be able to make this a proper win-win for Anambra people. And the battle about future elections, let's deal with the imminent right now. Let's get into the office. And guess what? In my conclusion, I started seeing Labour as worse than APC and PDP combined because of the nature of the issues there.
Okay.
And therefore, here's my last point here. If I get into APC and win and become governor of Anambra under APC, I don't see the concern people raise about APC changing me. I would rather inspire change from within to get people to actually now begin to appreciate value and love for the party.
You've made a lot of points there, but I wanted to give you that chance to really explain your position, and thank you for being quite clear and lucid, as you usually are. We're going to come to your chances of actually, first of all, picking the ticket of the APC in a moment, but
So sorry about the glitches, by the way. I'm not quite sure where it's coming from.
Just
it's
to
not anything I can help.
Get past that point that a lot of obedience and all the rest of them have been making. Many of them say that you are a political opportunist who tried to ride on the coattails of Peter Obi to the Anambra State governorship. I mean, he was a homeboy, and a lot of people suggest that he actually sponsored you, or at least he was one of your sponsors under the PDP to run for governor. And now that you've failed and he failed at the national level, you're seeking opportunity from the ruling.
So let me clarify certain things. First is I took a decision to go into politics and run for governorship of Anambra State. By the grace of God, out of 15 of us who wanted to be candidates of PDP in 2021, I was privileged to emerge winner. And by this time that I became candidate of PDP, I can take it to the bank that I received 0 penny from Peter Obi. So he didn't sponsor me into PDP. Let's the point be clear. Now, did he support me for the main election? Yes, he did. And I'm very grateful and thankful to God for that. And my respect for Peter Obi hasn't diminished. My relationship with him is still very civil. So there is no personal issue. And this is not just about Peter Obi and Valentine. That's not the conversation. The conversation about the Anambra people. I took a deliberate decision. I can count up to 10 times we had a conversation around Anambra. In fact, a few weeks before the last travel I made to the UK, I met with him and I told him I'm uncomfortable with Labour Party and it's not likely I'm going to use Labour Party to run. So he's clear, one-on-one.
What was his reaction?
Well, we debated it. He felt the issues could be resolved. I said, you are running for election in 2027. Mine is this year. So I don't have the time. So if I had 2027 I could be patient.
But was this an acrimonious? Have you both of you now fallen out?
Not at all. Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. If you know me, I respect my elders.
Well, it doesn't have to be you. It could be from him as well.
See, it takes two. If you are decent and honorable enough to use right words, you can't get any reaction that could be acrimonious. So, but the point I'm making here is that I engaged, I reached out, and I'm thankful for his support. But we needed to take a decision. And guess what? Let me also say this to a lot of people.
It's quite an important point that Valentine made there. So it's telling us then that he met Peter Obi in London and sat him down and said, look, Oga, I am running for the elections in 2027 again, and I cannot run under Labour Party because there's just too much drama and too much chaos within that space. Peter Obi then tells him that, look, there's nothing going on within the party that cannot be resolved. And then Valentine then explained that, look, I am running in 2027, and the time scope between where the party is now in sort of an anarchical, sort of chaotic sort of situation where it is now, and the time span between now and when the election takes place in 2027 is not sufficient enough time for us to address all of the things that needs to be addressed. So it will be anatemic to my ambition to stay within that space. So he says he's leaving, and that is a right assessment, by the way. So if the assessment that Valentine Ozigbo made to abandon Labour Party and go back to the APC holds true, then that tells us then that those assessments will at the short term play out for Peter Obi as well, who also, if he has any real ambitions towards 2027, necessarily has to abandon Labour Party and look for a thinner, more sedate home, and that is what we will see within the next 2 months thereabout, for all of the reasons that Valentine Ozigbo is elucidating here.
A lot of the obedience who were really, really upset were upset because they didn't hear from me. I've had to engage on Twitter, Zoom meetings with a lot of them. I've not heard of anybody that I've spoken to that understood my reason that is not supporting me today.
Well, to be fair to you,
Yes.
I followed one of your recent Zoom meetings.
Yes.
You had quite a lot of people in it, and to be entirely fair, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know who the people are. They could well be your supporters who were simply coming on, but they said they were Anambra people, and all of them were very supportive of you. But let me ask you this: how politically delicate are things for you now? I mean, you've left the Labour Party under a storm of criticism, let's be honest, and outrage. You've crossed over to the APC, where you're not exactly necessarily welcomed as a great friend of the party, given how critical you've been of them. I mean, it sounds like this is a definitively politically delicate moment for you. I mean, how good a chance do you stand in those circumstances of becoming the APC governorship candidate in Anambra State?
Thank you. Before I go to that question, let me have just a last shot on this, on the last conversation.
Briefly, because the time is galloping ahead.
To say to you that for a lot of people who are still out there criticizing my decision, it's simply because they haven't heard from me. For every single person who's heard, I can tell you they are either sympathetic or very supportive to my decision. And so if you're out there listening to me, don't worry. When we engage, I bet you're going to jump the fray and say, you know what, Valentine, you took the best decision you could ever imagine. Because again, it's not about me personally. Now let's go to your question about my chances. You know, Charles, let me be honest to you. Politics is a game, is a probability game. If I say to you that I am certain to be the candidate of APC, I'll be lying to you. But do I stand a good chance? Oh yes, because majority of the leadership of APC are excited. Who is this guy that just entered APC and everyone?
Well, they could also be threatened. I mean,
the people that are threatened are people who are running against me.
Well, the point is that you're up against some big heavyweights there. I mean, people like Dr. Paul Chukwuma, who sat on that seat that you were sitting in, Professor Obiora Okonkwo, who sat where you were sitting.
Incidentally, these are some of the people we met on ground.
Yeah, but John Bosco Onunkwo, Michael Omoji, Nicholas Ukachukwu. Let me just ask the question, how much of a challenge is that, and what can you offer that they can't, especially as you are a very new
it's a simple matter of whoever has the biggest name. That's just how politics works, isn't it? It's that whoever has the big, never mind how long those people have been with the APC or what they have contributed to the party or whatever. Politics is all about winning the elections, and the best chance to win an election is who has greater resonance with the people. So that's ultimately what decides it. So if Valentine Ozigbo has a greater resonance with the Anambra people than all of those names listed by Charles, then necessarily he has to get the ticket.
Kid on the APC block.
Good question, Charles. However, on one hand, I want to say to you that they're not new to me, and I'm not new to them. Don't forget, I ran for the primary with some of them in the 2021 election, and some of them were active in the other camp. Someone like Obiora Okonkwo mentioned came second to me in PDP primary, despite the fact that has been a long founder. In fact, let me narrate this quick story. When I jumped out of Transcorp to go into Anambra election, I was faced with some scenario. How do you think from nowhere you can go to PDP of all parties with 14 other people? But there were 21 of us, by the way. APC is only 7 of us. There were 21, 15 eventually bought forms, and sitting senator, House of Reps, billionaires. That's what they were telling me. I wasn't perturbed. Guess what? I came first in the primary. Why won't I repeat this? Now that I've even built, I've learned the job. I've learned from the best. And they're telling me I can't, no. I am bringing value to APC. A lot of these people are actually new to APC. Guess what? When they joined APC, you Charles didn't even notice. But who in Nigeria doesn't know that Valentine is in APC today? That's a difference. I am bringing incredible value. If APC is desirous of winning the Anambra State, they know what to do. And all I usually ask for is a level playing field. Just give us a free and fair primary. Well, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose.
Well,
but guess what, Charles? I'll come back here and sit with you and break the news as the candidate of APC.
Well, we shall obviously be following your trajectory very closely. But I mean, you've obviously forged some alliances within the party that encouraged you to defect to the APC.
And I'm engaging the aspirants as well. I'm talking to them. And let's build some consensus. This is not
right. But presumably your entry into the party, I mean, the PDP APC is seen as being in sort of a crisis mode in many parts of the Southeast because of the measure of support. Although to be fair to them, their support has been on the rise. I mean, they've now essentially got 2 states when they had none.
Yes.
But I mean, there are still in the crisis, and the presumption must be from them that your entry isn't going to deepen that crisis. And I wonder if it does.
I'm a man of peace. But
if it does, what sort of deconfliction hub have you set up to deal with that?
I have had to visit one of the aspirants and said to him, let's have a good understanding here to collaborate and work with each other. Let's actually think about winning this election and what we need to do together, the synergy we need to build, the collaboration we need to have to make sure we succeed. And I intend to visit every single other person who is in the race. And it's not a do or die thing. Let's build a family. Let's actually come together and unite among. It's usually difficult sometimes, but it's not impossible. Let me tell you what I usually do. Do your own bits. Apply yourself to the fullest. And whatever the outcome, you take it and move on. Yeah.
But I mean, take us to the APC in Anambra State. What's it like in the state? How fragile is it?
You see, I'm one of those persons that believe that if you really, really, really want to remove an incumbent governor, there's need to build a unity ticket, in quote, not necessarily a consensus ticket. You've got to be a candidate that is seen as a unifier. And that's the beauty of my candidacy. APC hasn't won a lot of, in fact, any election more or less in Anambra State. And they now see a great chance of winning. But there is need, I want to emphasize the need for this unification, because in me, you're seeing the last candidate of PDP. So I have a whole lot of PDP supporters with me. In me, you're seeing the most visible aspirant then of Labour Party. So there's a whole lot of, and when I defected, I went to Labour Party and I said to them, this is not going to be, if you really want to remove an incumbent governor, no party alone can do it. We have to form alliances. And so I want to be that candidate that APC will back, PDP will back, Labour will back, YPP will back.
Well, that's not going to be possible in a competitive environment.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. No other person has that uniqueness, because I just ran an election in 2021 on that PDP. So I have my structure there. They are ready to, I don't want to use the word die for me, but they will sacrifice.
Some of them, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
The same thing. In ABGA, don't forget the issue around the Dozie and Joku and all that. A lot of them are still very upset, and they wouldn't want Soludo back. They would rather support me in this election. The team from APC, after Senator Ifeanyi of blessed memory died, a lot of the leadership had reached out to me and said to me, Val, there were 3 of you running for this election. Soludo, Ifeanyi, and myself. Now that their own principal had left, just 2 of us remaining. And the principal, the mandate was that Soludo shouldn't come back. And they're still going to remain on that mandate. So they have no option than to back what I was doing.
But you know,
so a lot of those people,
right,
before I even went to APC, now I'm home to them. So what I'm saying to you is that we truly need to unify ourselves. And so for our friends who are also running, let's understand the need for this unity, because with that mantra, we can get the job finished.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're saying that the APC is simply a vehicle for you to run for the election. There is no, I mean, you've spoken of yourself as someone who's driven by values and principles, but there don't seem to be any values and principles with regard to your move to the APC. It's purely a vehicle for you to win the election.
Let me be honest to you, be brutally honest to you. I am not really proud of where our party system is today, whether it's APC or Labour Party or PDP or anyone. I want us to evolve to where we will become a party of ideology, but we're not there yet. As of today, everybody will tell you parties are vehicles, but some of us are going in to now change that narrative so that it can move away from just being vehicles.
Yeah, but you didn't succeed in doing that in the Labour Party.
Of course, does not mean I should give up.
You didn't succeed in the PDP, you left.
Because
you didn't succeed in Labour,
I haven't been elected. My powers are limited. As of today, I'm to an aspirant or a candidate at best. Wait until I get in and become governor. Just by the way.
But what if you don't become governor? Can't we hold you to your values and principles unless you become governor?
Now, here's the point, Charles. I will do everything utmost best to add my value to changing the system. But I want to do it where there's maximum impact. I'm not going to do it where there's no future. Like I said to you, I didn't see any future. But APC has come to stay. And if I have to wait until there's a platform to now go to, that means I have to while a while.
Right.
Let's go in now and start the rebuilding. So I'm saying to you,
right,
watch out. If I say everything I'm going to do in APC, you may scare them away from me. So the point here is that
we wouldn't want that, would we?
I want to see an improved APC in the future. And I want to be part of those that will help in my culture is continuous improvement. No matter what you're doing, there's always a better way of doing it.
But looking at that future, in 2027, can we now expect to see you joining President Tinubu's campaign train to campaign, for instance,
why not?
Against Peter Obi?
If I have to.
I mean, how weird and buggered would that be? You see what I mean?
But Charles, see, you must also respect the dynamism of politics. If you leave me with options, and I am compelled to believe that President Tinubu coming back is the best, I'm going to go out there and campaign and vigorously demonstrate the value. Nigeria is at stake. Anambra people's mandates are at stake.
But just, I mean, you've been saying consistently that President Tinubu was not the right person to run this country. So it's interesting when that's juxtaposed against the fidelity of your word, when you suddenly turn around and say, wait a minute, let's bring him back in 2027.
See, 2023, honestly, is gone. We're going into 2027. And right now, we are in 2025. My preoccupation right now is, what do we do to start the salvaging process for the Anambra? And 2027, like I said, I use the word, if it requires that I have to campaign, yes, I will. So I'm not going to shy away from it. The fact that Peter Obi, of course, we did a lot of incredible things. I'm impressed by no regrets about my role in 2023. We brought something fresh. We energized the base. However, does not guarantee that all of that will repeat in 2027. So 2027 will speak for itself. For now, I prefer to just focus on 2025. But I'm also saying to you, I'm going to be clearly comfortable taking a decision either way to support President Tinubu, to get even him now to see how he can impact more, particularly the Southeast and Anambra State.
But so far,
if for instance,
very briefly, because we're out of time.
For instance, I get in as governor, I convince President Tinubu, we develop port system, develop gas infrastructure, curb insecurity, and we see Anambra as El Dorado. Why won't I campaign for him?
Right, okay. At the moment, you're not the governor. You're not even the candidate. And at this point, what marks out of 10 would you give President Tinubu so far?
I'm not sure why you're asking me this question.
Well, I'm asking you a straightforward question. You're a politician. You're an observer of developments, trends in Nigeria.
When it comes to the macro issues, when it comes to the boldness, the courage to take certain decisions, I honestly will say to you, President Tinubu is on the right track to doing some good that I'm happy about. There's an area I would like the president to pay more attention to, and that's really the rule of law and the issue of election issues. I'd like to get our INEC to where they can transmit results from polling units to the server. I want to get to where we can actually almost render redundant who the INEC chairman is, who the IG of police. Why can't we even migrate to electronic voting?
Okay.
So those initiatives, I want to see him do more in that regard.
In that regard, I want to thank you very much indeed. And we're very grateful to you to have come and spoken to us here before speaking to anyone else. Valentine Ozigbo is a newly minted governorship aspirant in Anambra State under the umbrella of the APC. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, this dust is yet to settle over the allegation of sexual harassment put forward by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan against Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President of Nigeria. Senator Natasha's allegation of sexual harassment was revealed during an interview on our show last week.
Let me say this, Ayo. You know the situation we see in universities whereby a student is continuously being failed just because she has not slept with the lecturer. That's what I've been facing, in simple terms.
Thank you. Professor Kila.
That is what I have been going through. Why did they have to pick on me to start the shift? There were other senators that were in front of me that would have filled the seat. Why did it have to be me to fill in the seat at the far corner? But I will say this again. If you see where I sit at the back, there is a silent degrading of senators that, as I say, came from court. Yeah. We are made to feel as if we are lower than our other colleagues that resumed office and were sworn in earlier than us, even though we're all first-timers. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. I remember when I asked, initially, I asked why I was not sitting amongst my other first-time colleagues. Yes. And I was told that is because you resumed 6 months later. So it's almost like a punishment because I resumed 6 months later. Therefore, I have to sit or take seats or wait for my other colleagues whom we all ran elections with together and won together, even though we were rigged. So Senator, we were made to sit at the back.
It will be recalled that due to the feud between Akpabio and Natasha, which started last week when the relocation of the Kogi lawmakers sit in the Red Chamber without her consent delayed plenary proceedings for some minutes. The Senate have since decided to refer Senator Natasha to the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee of the Senate. Joining us now on the show is the Senate spokesperson, Senator Yemi Adaramodu. Good morning and welcome to the morning show, Senator Adaramodu.
Good morning, my dear sister. Good morning, my brothers who are there.
All right.
And you have a very fantastic job, and then I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you, sir. We've been looking forward to a response from the Senate.
Auntie Ayo Garufai and
Thank you, Senator. All right. Okay. So we've been looking forward to a response, an official position from the Senate with regards. I talked about already in my introduction that Senator. Hold on, sir. Let me just complete my question. That Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan is going to be referred to the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee. However, before we get into the meat of the conversation, I just want an official position. What is the position of the Senate on sexual harassment broadly? Is there a policy on that in the workplace? And then when an accusation is made, what is usually the next step? You know, just broadly, because I think that's also come up a lot in conversation. That what is the Senate's position on that?
Yes. That's very good. That's a very good way to start. Once again, I want to say good morning to all Nigerians and to those people who have been so apprehensive about the happenings, the goings on in the Senate just of recent. Like I said earlier, I said it was a storm in the teacup, but it is now becoming a content that we are now trending. Very unfortunate, quite egregious. And like you asked, my sister, in the Senate, we have rules, like any other organization for that matter. There are rules. Section 60 gave us that, of the Constitution, gave us that right to set our own rules for ourselves, internal rules that guide us. And then we call it standing orders. And it's a booklet that is given to every senator on resumption of legislative business in the National Assembly. So we all have this. And then when you go to Order 6, 1 and 2, it was expressly stated there that the Senate President shall allocate seats to each senator. Then the second rider is that wherever you are allocated to, that is where you can be permitted, you can be allowed to even contribute. Like my sister even spoke about Order 10. Then you will count 6 before you can count 10. And when you even go to that 10, it says you can raise point of order on privileges. Yes, you can. But you have to raise that point of order when you are in order. So if you are not in order, you cannot raise a point of order. It does not mean that when the senator is in his own office, then it can be raising his point of order from his office. So it is like that if you are not well seated. So that day, what we are saying is that comply with the order. If you comply with the order, then you raise your hand, you raise a point of order. There is no Senate President that will not recognize you. If after complying, if after staying where you are supposed to be, and then you are now raising a point of order, and the Senate President is not recognizing you, it is the whole Senate that are going to upbraid the Senate President that, please, you have to recognize her. Right. And then from there, you can now make, you can now tell the whole Senate that where you are taken to sit, camera will not catch you if you want to do camera caching. Or you cannot raise up your hand that you are going to be saying, yes, now that is where you raise it. And then all other issues, that's where you can raise it. Then going to the sexual harassment.
Yes, that's the question I asked.
Harassment is which you mentioned.
Yes.
Going to that one.
Not just specifically to her.
A premise for it.
Yes, not just specifically to her. I asked broadly, what is the Senate stance on sexual harassment?
To anybody for that matter, in this case, there was never a case of sexual harassment.
No, I'm not asking you. No, I just wanted. No, I just wanted a policy.
Yes, if there's
your policy position.
If there's any, the policy position is that if there is any situation like that, and it is confirmed that there's any situation like that, the Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition Committee will be revved up to take it up. And then if it is found that it is true, then that senator for that matter, whoever, that senator for that matter, will face the music. That is it. That is it. It is like any other misdemeanor in the Senate. It's not only sexual harassment, any kind of harassment for that matter. Okay. So it's not only sexual harassment, any misdemeanor. Okay. Any misdemeanor.
Okay, Senator Modu, good to talk to you.
Yes, my brother.
I'll ask you a couple of questions. Number one, are you now saying that after this matter is already in public glare, we still need to write officially to the Ethics Committee for them to start their investigation? Or I thought that as this matter is a national matter that impugns on the integrity of the Senate, the Ethics Committee should also pick it up and start the investigation. That's number one. Number two, I've been waiting for you to come. Welcome, sir. And I say welcome, sir, because the Senate should please also tell us about the 170 billion extra that was added to the Senate budget, said to be for contracts and projects and things like that, after already collecting 344 billion, at a time we say Nigeria is in dire straits. And I want you to react to Ireti Kingibe's statement that she made when she said that Natasha had told her, Senator Natasha Akpoti had told her that the Senate President had asked her to come for a meeting in a hotel. So that was number one person confirming that narrative. What would you say as regards that? 3 questions, sir. Number one, do we need to bring the case to the Senate? Okay. Yes. I can remind you as you go on. Yes, sir.
Yes, number one. Yes, I will connect everything. So number one, the issue of bringing it to the ethics committee. It's like when you say some people have an AFRI at the motor park, that the court will just go and pick it from the motor park where nobody has made any complaint in the court, when nobody has sued, when nobody has brought any case to the court, or maybe either through the police or personally. So definitely in the Senate, we don't conduct our affairs on maybe when we pick something up from Facebook or in the media, and we just rush to the chamber and we start conducting our affairs on that. We don't do that one. There must be an explicit, straightforward complaint from any senator, for that matter, about any misdemeanor that person alleges that another senator, not only the Senate president, even if it is me, that the senator has committed against him or her, and that is, then it will come, the senator will raise it and we drop it, and then the Senate as a whole will now decide that this is necessary, this is worth it to go to the ethics, privileges, and public petition
Senator,
committee.
real quickly.
That is
real
what is
quickly,
done.
for the
So
sake
that
of,
is about that one.
Real quickly, for the sake of interaction, please. Sorry.
Yes.
Cases like sex for marks, there were issues that were social media generated and the documentary, and the Senate picked them up to investigate them. So what you are saying now, that this matter is not of national importance in law, to the ethics committee to pick it up. There was
a petition. There was a petition. On that one, I can tell you. I was there.
Okay,
I was there. There was a petition. And the senator rose up. Yes.
Okay, so this one now, there needs to be a petition
as a matter for
Okay. Oh yeah, move to the next
senator rose up to raise it matter for public importance.
Okay.
And that senator was allowed to raise it. He moved it as a motion. That's why it was considered then. The second one is that, budget. When you consider the value of National Assembly budget of 2024, look at 2023, look at 2024. 2023, 2024, and that of 2025, the initial one were almost the same. And then the budget of 2024 was 27 trillion, while that of 2025 rose to 54.9 trillion. Now, are you telling me, are we saying that the budget of the National Assembly, which is a tier of government, should now remain static, when other tiers of government, either the executive and the judiciary, they now have a lift up in their budget? When you look at what goes to each of the ministries and these of the sectors, now they have a lift, at least of maybe a few percentages. Then if the National Assembly, which is another tier of government, is now having a lift of that 170 billion, I don't think that is very egregious. I don't think that is what we can now say. Maybe the National Assembly has padded again, just to use that connotation.
You don't think
so?
That's egregious?
The issue was that in the 2023 budget, it was before 18 trillion to 23 trillion. Then 2024, it was 27 trillion to 34 trillion after all the other supplementary budgets. Then in 2025, it is 54.9 trillion naira. And then when you now give the National Assembly a tier of government the same amount, you gave the National Assembly the previous budget. Now, what percentage of the budget is of the National Assembly is the total budget of Nigeria? And which is a tier of government. And then even add up that 170 with the 342 billion. So it is still not up to 500 billion. And then out of 54.9 trillion. So what percentage of it is not even up to
Okay, Senator. If you add up, I think it's a little over 500 billion. If you add up, anyway. But I'm not sure you can hear me. I'm not sure you can hear me, and I cannot hear you. Okay, I think we'll go to a quick break. We'll try to fix the line, and we'll come back, and we'll take the last question, which we asked, that Senator Rituala Kingibe confirmed that Senator Natasha Akpoti did say that she was told, Senator Natasha Akpoti told her before that the Senate president said she should come and see her in the hotel. So he'll speak about that. We'll still have the Senate spokesperson, Senator Yemi Adaramodu, to come after this quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, so we still have Senate spokesperson, Senator Yemi Adaramodu here. And the last question I did ask you, sir, Senator Reti Kingibe did confirm that Senator Natasha Akpoti had told her.
I was going to that.
That
yes.
That they saw in an hotel, that the Senate president was going to meet her up in an hotel. So what's your take on that?
Well, I cannot have any take on that. Is Senator Reti Kingibe that if she said so, is the only person that can have a take.
But is it part of your Senate ethics for the Senate president to be meeting people in hotels, fellow members of the Senate in hotels? Is it, especially female member, is it part of your Senate ethics?
That question,
I'm just asking, is it part of your Senate ethics?
Like I said, no. Like I said, you said Senator Reti Kingibe said so. And I don't know in what context that Senator Reti Kingibe said that.
Let me give you the context.
I'm not sure whether it was true or not.
It's in the context,
I'm not sure whether it is true or not.
It's in the context of
but all I know is that if there is any oversight function anywhere, we do go to do oversight. And then if I like I said, I don't know in what context. I don't know in what context. Not in any hotel. I know the Senate president will not just invite another senator to come to an hotel. So I didn't listen to that interview. So that's why I said in what context, that I cannot just be commenting on a context that I'm not aware of, that I don't even know anything about. And I didn't even hear that one from Senator Reti Kingibe, because I watched that interview about 3 or 4 days ago. I watched it. So I didn't see, I didn't know the time. I didn't know the time that she said so. So that she confirmed in her, I don't know. So that's between the two senators. It's not. That's not for the Senate.
Senator
for the Senate. That's not for the Senate to be deceived.
Senator Adaramodu. Senator Adaramodu.
I don't really know, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Senator Reti Kingibe that was what she said, because I was listening to the interview.
Senator Adaramodu. The tape is there. There's an empirical fact that she said it. It's also been reported in many dailies. If you don't have the tape, you can go and watch the interview again. Thank you. Professor Killer.
Senator Adaramodu, good morning again to you. Clearly...
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah.
Clearly there's a rift in the Senate between the Senate president and another senator. Shouldn't you and other senators, the whole of the Senate, trying to make peace between them? Should that not be the instinctive step to take?
Yes,
close to that.
That's a very good.
Yes, go ahead.
That's a very good. Suggestion. That's a very good suggestion. Yes, we did make peace on the floor of the Senate on February 20, last week Thursday, when this incident occurred. And what happened was that immediately Senator Natasha Akpoti raised her voice, or that she wanted to talk even while she was not sitting where she was supposed to sit, and she was raising her voice. Even the Senate president, instead of muting her own microphone, he did not do that one. He allowed her to maybe just express herself. Then other senators were now pacifying her. Sit down, don't do this, don't do that, including the minority leader of the party that she belongs to. So definitely the Senate and the senators, they have been making peace with that and on that. And fortunately, when the Senate reconvened on the following legislative day, Senator Natasha did not come to the chamber that day. And then the Senate raised the issue that generated throughout the weekend and the previous week. That was when they said the Senate resolved that, okay, the ethics, privileges, and the public petition committee is one that we now call the senator involved, talk to her, advise her, necessarily teach her, tell her what to do. And then that will be the end of it. And in fact, the Senate caucus of Kogi State, on behalf of Senator Natasha, had rendered an apology, which the Senate has even already taken. So the next, maybe a few days after, 2 or 3 days after, our sister now came to arise and now maybe started another topic entirely. That is what now brought the present fiasco to the fore. So the Senate, yes, on its own, would have sorted everything out
in that way.
That's why I said the initial thing was just a mere storm in a teacup. It would have, because
but Senator Daramodu,
like any assembly, it's not a graveyard.
Yeah, Senator Daramodu, yes, now that we've gone past the storm in a teacup, yes, and we have a national salacious crisis or drama going on, knowing your fellow senators, 108 of them left, we're making 109, including yourself.
Yes.
Knowing them, do you think some of them will be gracious, courageous, concerned enough to come up with a petition in the next few hours or next few days? Or you think they will just leave it and life goes on?
My brother, all yes, all senators are equal in the chamber. All senators are equal in the chamber.
Yes.
There's no senior, there's no junior.
Yes.
We are all voted for. We all are representing our constituencies to the National Assembly. No senator must be very timid to the point that if he or she has anything to raise on the floor of the National Assembly, that he or she should not be able to raise it. No senator should nobody is tied to the purse string of the other person. So the issue of maybe my colleagues might be maybe timid not to raise whatever they wanted to raise. Is it out of timidity that even our colleague, our sister, Senator Natasha, raised all the allegations to raise? Is it out of timidity? It's not. It's not out of timidity. She wanted to raise what she wanted to raise. Initially, I said it. I said, if we are not going to be creating content so that we be trendy, and the content has already been created now, and we are trending. So if we are not going to do that one, what we are supposed to raise on the floor of the National Assembly, in the chamber, would have been raised. And if our sister had anything, any issue, any axe to grind with any senator, be it even myself or the Senate president, if she has orderly behaved or properly got seated that day, she would have raised up her hand and raised whatever she wanted to raise. But the issue now is that when something is in the public domain, like my brother, my brother Rufai said, that now can't we just take it to the National Assembly and then start deliberating on it? I said, no, we cannot. Because we do not do our legislative business right from on media or pages of newspapers or on Facebook. We do not. So it is only what is before us that we talk about, that we debate. And then all of us, like I said, we are all equals. Either you are a female senator or you are a male senator. We are all equals when we get to the chamber. In fact, we do not even talk about parties when we get to the chamber.
All right, sir. All right, so very quickly, I don't know if you've seen a statement made by the president of the 8th Assembly, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, in a statement titled, Akpabio Natasha, let's protect the institution, not individuals. In fact, he used the opportunity to talk about his own experience while he was Senate president, saying that at the time he subjected himself to appearing before the Ethics and Disciplinary Committee, and that he was also able to step aside and allowed his deputy preside when the matter came to the chambers for debate. Would you suggest that once the petition has been delivered to the House, to the Senate, that it would be in the best interest of the integrity of the Senate for Senate President Akpabio to step aside whilst the investigation is ongoing, just so that there's fairness, equity, and to allow due process take its place.
Oh, thank you very much, my great sister. Senator Senator Bukola Saraki, the former Senate President, yes, he could have advised the way he has done. Ordinarily, even while as Senate President then, there were so many allegations, either by senators, either from outside the Senate then, even targeted against him. And then there was never a time that he had to step down for the investigation to be carried out. But in this matter, like I said, there is presently no matter before the Senate. Only the only matter that is before the Senate now is the matter between Senator Natasha and the rest of the Senate that is not complying with the standing order of the Senate. That one is there. Then no other issue. Then if there is anything that comes tomorrow or anything for that matter about any senator in the National Assembly, be that senator the Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, or myself, then the Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition Committee, once it is referred to them, so it is that committee that is going to determine the mode that by which it is going to treat such a petition. And then because it is going to be taken as an internal affair. It is an internal affair to the extent that it is a senator versus another senator. So, and you know that in the Senate, which is the hallowed chamber, we enjoy that kind of absolute privilege. That whatever we do, whatever we say within the Senate chambers is not actionable in court. So because of that, the ethics and the Public Petition Committee, they know that one. And so if there is any petition for that matter that comes, not this that we are even discussing, anything that comes, it is that committee that is going to, and the Senate does not even run that committee with the committee members. The Senate President does not even run it with the committee members. It's an independent committee, and it is one of the standing committees of the Senate that was inaugurated first before other committees were inaugurated with assumed legislative duties. All right,
just in one statement, I asked you a direct question. Would you advise the Senate President to step aside whilst the investigation is ongoing?
Over what?
Just yes or no. If it does come to the Senate over this matter, would you advise the Senate President to step aside if the matter comes in for fair investigation?
My voice does not matter. It is the voice of the total Senate that matters in that. It's the voice of the total Senate that matters. My voice does not matter in it. So we ask that question from the old senators. All right. 108 of us.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Spokesperson, a spokesman in the Senate, Senator Yemi Adaramodi.
And the wife of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Ekaite Akpabio, has rejected the sexual harassment allegations made against her husband by Senator Natasha Akpoti. Reacting to Natasha's sexual harassment allegations against the Senate President, Ekaite described the accusations as baseless fantasies, highlighting the previously amicable relationship between their families.
I really don't understand where this is coming from. And I believe that for somebody to get and make such an allegation, there must be a discussion at home. There must have been a sanction or an approval. Or you're going to say this, go ahead and say it. And if the approval has come from the husband, our friend, I believe that he would have spoken to me because we are close. He's close to my husband. But if he didn't give her the approval to go on air and make such an allegation, then the question is, does he have control? He's entertaining people whenever he's around. So if the man was walking behind and the conversation was taking place in his presence, he could have heard. Even the body gesticulation could have shown the man that there was something wrong. Security men are always with the SP. So for that night, I knew I served people. People were at home. The house is never empty when he's around because constituents will be there, Akwa Ibom people will be there, and they never leave him.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is RGO Odogu Silencer with stories trending around. Wow. Hello, Oji.
Somebody actually called me Odogu Silencer.
Odogu Silencer.
Rufa is making waves. Good morning. I can't believe it. Chief of Umukata Odogu Silencer. Good morning, Ayo. How are you, Rufa? I hope you had a great weekend.
Can I have one more thing?
No, please. I'm begging you. Off your mic.
The Obasa of Lagos.
No, there is somebody called the Donald Trump of Lagos State. Who's that? Good morning, Ayo. How are you doing this morning? Perfect. Good morning, Professor Anthony Killer. How are you this morning? I hope we're killing it this morning as well. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with the much talked about feud between the senator representing Kogi East Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, and the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio. Well, over the weekend, Akpabio's wife, Ekaite, dismissed allegations that her husband sexually harassed Natasha Akpoti during a press conference in Abuja. She described Akpabio as a disciplined and responsible man who will not disrespect her and their children.
The Senate president is a very, very responsible man and disciplined. As a governor, the number of women we had then in government, I don't think any government has had that number of women. In Akwa Ibom, when he was a governor, a lot of women were involved in governance. And none of them, not one, ever said something like this. In the past, we've allowed people to get away with a lot of things. And he will always tell me, if you can't stand the heat, leave the kitchen. I'm here to serve my people. They will throw mud at me. I said, but this mud is becoming too much. Why can't you do something? So I'm now the one going for a legal address.
All right, this was such a hot topic over the weekend. I don't recall not talking about this incident. Throughout the weekend, it was either, why is this woman suing Natasha? Oh, on what grounds is she suing Natasha for defamation? She wasn't the one defamed. So we had Liberos Oshoma over the weekend. And on the weekend morning show, and I posed that question.
A lot work this weekend.
He did, right?
No, you did.
I did. Oh, I don't know.
Not just with him. I think you had another guest whom I think the last guest you had, I thought.
Oh no. So that was our ombudsman. This day. No, we just had our conversation about, whether or not, the issues of marginalization or sexual harassment should not be trivialized. And that was the topic. We talked about that. But, Liberal Oshoma said that, this woman has no grounds in filing this defamation